You have all of these streets that like have the same name and are kind of close to each other, but
maybe it's not built yet.
mm-hmm.
You sure it's 2019 and not 2020?
Je pense qu'on a un problème. Alors j'ai un problème, je pense qu'on a un problème. Donc, ma présentation est dans 2 heures, mais je dois leur donner le PowerPoint pendant la pause du midi pour qu'on puisse faire les tests. Et je dois faire une rehearsal. Donc mon temps est compté. Le challenge. Jeff m'a demandé de présenter grosso modo ce que j'avais posté sur le groupe concernant la rédaction de mon livre. Comment j'ai trouvé le genre dans lequel j'allais écrire, l'idée d'entretasser les histoires. Si tu veux, en tant que post plat plus, c'est vachement intéressant. En tant qu'article behind the scenes, c'est vachement intéressant. Mais je crains qu'il y ait un mismatch entre l'attente du public et ce qui m'est demandé. Je veux être sûr qu'il y a suffisamment de tactique parce qu'ils ont insisté sur le fait que voilà, dans l'évolution de Launchcon, il leur faut plus le côté tactique et applicable. J'ai besoin de sounding board pour essayer de clarifier mon concept.
C'est quoi ta peur? De ne pas apporter suffisamment de valeur tactique?
C'est que dans le temps que j'ai,
20 minutes,
j'ai 30 minutes sur scène et j'ai 90 minutes pour faire des changements avant de monter sur scène. Déjà, le contenu de mon post, je pense que c'est tight pour tenir en 30 minutes vu le nombre de slides que j'ai déjà. Si je suivais la structure du post telle qu'elle, au début, je donne des chiffres de mettre en perspective le fait que c'était le plus dur, le plus gros projet que j'ai fait, écrire le livre. Et donc, nombre de mots, nombre d'ambassadeurs, j'ai reçu 5900 commentaires, j'ai fait 2500 modifs, j'ai perdu 16 livres en faisant tout ça, tu vois. C'est une intro sympa dans ça.
Over the course of writing the book, I did 10 drafts. And all of these drafts I uploaded to Google Documents.
Et ensuite, le fait que mon challenge en fait en écrivant le livre, c'est que mon audience pour ce livre ne lit pas les livres business. Gros problème. Donc il fallait que j'écrive un livre qui puisse accrocher les gens à qui j'allais parler. Et du coup, je suis parti dans ma quête, les livres de formation, etc. Je vais en mentionner 2 ou 3 pour que ça puisse servir de référence pour les gens. Et expliquer, mais en fait, voilà, ce qui m'a donné le déclic, c'est le livre de science-fiction de Hamilton, où genre, il y a des histoires des personnages qui s'entrecroisent, etc. J'ai la sensation que cette idée d'expliquer aux gens le fait, les histoires qui s'entrecroisent est en fait un conseil tactique qui est applicable aussi bien pour ceux qui écrivent des livres, il y en a pas mal dans l'audience, que pour ceux par exemple qui préparent un lancement, qui construisent un webinaire, que c'est un bon outil. J'étais parti initialement sur l'idée de me servir en début de que ça serait bien si ma présentation démontrait, même de façon superficielle, ce concept. Parce que là, pour le moment, il n'y a que l'histoire de moi qui écrit mon livre. Et je me demande si j'essaie de ne pas faire trop de choses à la fois.
Voilà, c'est ce que j'allais te dire, c'est que dans ces cas-là, quand tu as une peur comme ça par rapport à un talk, c'est qu'il y a trop de trucs dedans.
C'est ça.
Et dans ces cas-là, je reviens au basique de basique, c'est-à-dire, c'est qui l'audience? Qu'est-ce qu'ils veulent? C'est quoi leur problème? Comment ce que tu as fait apporte une solution à ce problème et leur donne un modèle à suivre.
D'accord.
Point barre.
D'accord.
Or, c'est qui l'audience? L'audience de launch, on les connaît, qu'est-ce qu'ils veulent?
On les connaît, ça peut varier, mais...
Ils veulent diffuser leur message et faire de l'argent, etc. Leur problème principal, de manière générale, c'est le problème que tout le monde a dans ce marché, c'est qu'ils n'ont pas assez de leads, ils ne touchent pas assez de monde, etc. Or, le livre, écrire un livre, le principe général d'écrire un livre, un angle intéressant de façon de présenter, c'est qu'un lead, c'est un truc qui amène des leads.
Solide, oui.
D'accord. Oui. Écrire un livre, ça fait peur, on ne sait pas comment faire, c'est compliqué, oulala. Et comment est-ce qu'on écrit spécifiquement un livre qui va servir d'apport de leads pour spécifiquement un business qui est basé sur le lancement? Justement, j'ai trouvé une solution hyper intéressante qui permet de combiner les pouvoirs d'un launch, et notamment des case studies, sur un format de livre. Et le secret, le secret du guide, c'est je prends mes meilleurs case studies et pour faire le livre, je les tresse.
Okay.
What I wanted to do is to create my own genre. One where I would teach people with stories, but have the stories be intertwined. So I call this a prescriptive epic. And this is something I've used in my book, and this is something also that we're using in our marketing.
Le côté ambassadeur, machin, tout ça, égal.
C'est de l'anecdotique.
C'est pas que c'est anecdotique, c'est que c'est du... Si tu avais une offre à faire, tu en parlerais à ce moment-là.
Ok.
Tu vois mais tu es sur le principe général qui est le livre comme source de lead. Les case studies tracés comme principe opérationnel du how to faire un bon livre qui va supporter votre business basé sur les lancements.
How many of you would love to multiply your launch-based business? How many of you are writing or consider writing a book? Okay. How many of you would like to use a book to multiply your business? Yes. Okay, awesome. How many of you hate books, hate businesses? You came here for the food. Okay.
Bonjour, my name is Sebastian Knight and I'm the founder of the Free Entrepreneur Movement. And today I'm going to share with you how to multiply your launch-based business by writing a freaking good book.
Good book.
During the process, I had 1,256 people apply to be ambassadors and help me write, edit and promote the book. We selected 600 of these people and I wrote 10 beta versions of the book that I shared with them on a Google Drive so they could comment as I was editing and improving the book. Which means I received a little bit less than 6,000 inlines, comments and suggestions over the course of writing it.
That didn't paint the clear picture that your community got to see you write that book.
Okay.
Because that is the coolest thing anybody's ever done in book writing.
Okay.
That doesn't make it clear.
So I involved the actual people I wanted to read the book into helping me write it, edit it, and promote it.
Here are some of the classes I took on my quest. I took basically every masterclass and course from business writers I could find. I know people will take pictures, but I'm not going to just read the list. And then I went through I started reading books and taking classes from people who didn't write non-fiction books, but rather novels, movies, TV series, thrillers, and other genres where people get hooked and go to the end.
Are you not going to go through your list because you think everyone's going to just take a picture?
A few people will take pictures, and this is just, it's just a...
I mean, are you going to
There's a lot
they're
of
taking
stuff
a picture
style.
and you're not going to explain it all? You're going to let them just take a picture and then move on through?
Yeah.
I'm asking because I've sat in your presentations before and it's just dawning on me.
Yeah.
There are times that it's gone a little too quick and I would have liked you to gone through it, even though you feel like you're being...
So I'll say you'll get the slides with the list of all the resources and my star system. Okay.
Right.
Okay.
That's good. But I wouldn't hesitate, especially if you have extra time. Don't worry about going ahead and going through them.
I kept reading, read a few other books in the last year about writing, the process of writing novels and all of that. This is my own star ranking, by the way, so if someone's getting 0 stars, it's a personal thing I had against them after wasting so much time on their books. Didn't that just move?
It was 30 minutes left when I started, and now it's 35 minutes left.
They must have restarted
They must
it.
have added.
Yeah.
Shoot. Okay, we'll start
So we're
now.
going back in time. So I decided to write a different genre, which I called the prescriptive epic. The idea being we'll still have maybe 8 case study stories, but we'll have the same characters go through all of the arc and the difficulties of what I'm teaching, and they make different decisions. Some of them make good or less good decisions, but we see the consequences as we move through the story and the book. So here are the strategies for you to write your own prescriptive epic and make your book work well with your launches and evergreen launches. The first one is you need a prologue that sets the tone. The book has several acts, so different parts of the hero's journey, but you need a prologue and an epilogue where you open with a bang and the epilogue provides closure to all of the stories.
Are these the elements of writing the great prescriptive
epic? Yes.
Okay, can we, there's 6 of them?
Yes.
Can we just put one on a slide and then the title page says the 6 elements of writing a prescriptive epic?
Okay.
Because that's way too much on a slide for people to read.
Yes,
and
I
if you
agree.
put it in terms of 6, then it will help them to remember, okay, there's 6 elements. And if you do it a la Jim Quick, element number 1 is prologue. Element number 2 is boom. Remember, we have prologue and we have boom. Element number 3 is boom, boom. So remember, we have prologue, boom, and boom, boom.
Okay.
So that you're really helping to drive it home what those 6 are.
So here are 6 keys to writing a prescriptive epic. Key number 1, you need to have a prologue.
This was, to me, a lesson that it's just a matter of putting in the time, being patient with myself, and trusting the process that I'll get through
Good
it.
seating for Launch Club. I like it.
Another stat that was interesting is my best speed was up to 22 words a minute when I did not have internet access for research. And my average was 7 words per minute when I had internet access.
Ouchalanga.
So maybe you don't want to be writing your launch scripts or your books with internet access. To me, one of the big things I've learned 10 years ago was start with why. But I learned how important it is to end with why. So I'd like to leave you with a quote from the last chapter of the book, which is the Free Entrepreneur Manifesto. And this is a rough translation from French. We are a group of insane, creative, enthusiastic people who are crazy enough to want freedom. We were born in France, Belgium, Quebec, Switzerland, Ivory Coast, the West Indies, or America, or in one of countless other countries that counts around our beautiful planet. But we are not chained to a geographical place. We worn down the high school or university benches. We tore through boring textbooks, trying to win impressive diplomas covered in dusty prestige. We tried for a while to play the game of the system, but we are not chained to a trade or locked on someone's footsteps. We live in a world of abundance, and we know that the more value we bring to the world, the more we are rewarded. We see money as a metaphor for the value we've brought, and as a tool for making our dreams come true. But we do not chain ourselves to a job to attain it. We have what others would call a superpower, the ability to imagine a life that's different from the status quo, and the courage to make hard choices to achieve that vision. We are a little scary. Those who see us pursuing our dream have a hard time taking us seriously. They often start by criticizing us, making fun of us, trying to discourage us, but secretly they envy us. It doesn't matter. One day, when our dream comes true, they will not fail to come and ask us for advice. We are not born with a particular gift, but we know how to wear multiple hats when necessary. We had to become creators, salesmen, recruiters, trainers, accountants, marketers, videographers, designers, investors, and often improvisers. We saved the day at the last minute with Scotch tape so many times that you would not believe it if you were told. We sweated blood and never let go, even buried under paperwork and taxes. We were on the phone with customers when you cooled off at the bar. We were fussing over our e-commerce website during your family meals. We have endured endless meetings with the banker, nights of insomnia looking for the genius idea that would finally take off. It's too long.
Yeah, way too long. You want to end on...
Pick the most
one
vibrant
sentence.
part. And here's a way to close the loop.
Yeah.
You know how they said we're a little scary? Like shortly after that, you could say, it's okay to wave the gun and be excited and be a little dangerous. Just make sure you've got someone behind you
Pointing you in the right direction.
Okay.
Boom.
Ah, that's good.
It is okay to wave the loaded gun and be a little bit too excited at times. All you need is to make sure the people around you keep you pointed in the right direction. If you use the power of stories to create a transformation, provide value, then you can effect change in the world. Thank you.
Amazing, man, seeing your guys' hook on the book. It's actually a really great idea. I like the fact that you incorporate the normal life of someone, how they can relate with the character, and then
I have them go to the change.
Yeah, because you're right. I mean, some of us just pick up a book of like how to do things, and it's like, well, I don't even have a foundation or anything to be considered like an amateur. Like I'm
Exactly.
barely
So
getting into it.
you'll disconnect after a few pages.
Yeah, so that was great. I took all sorts of notes at the 5 steps, and then the 6th one about building trust.
About trust,
So I got it down, man.
Cool. Awesome.
It's great. It's very informative.
Yeah.
It's good meeting you, man.
See you later. Nice meeting you, man.
That was very useful.
Thank you.
Because I'm now finishing the book.
Okay. So just in time.
Yeah.
Okay.
Very good. And I will do the same because I have a big audience in Slovenia. So I just give them to help me finish it. But that was a genius. Like your one word made me all trip.
All the
no launch club investment.
Thank you.
So really cool. Really cool. Okay. So, but it was a little bit too fast for me to think.
So here's one thing though. If you want to do this process, the trick is we asked people last time and this time to apply to be an ambassador, and we kind of filtered. From my experience now, I would do the application process and by default accept everyone that actually applies, and then just removed if there are troublemakers. Like the time we spent filtering, the 600 out of 1200, too much time, and I'm not sure it was worth the time.
Do they get a free book?
They get the book as the manuscript before everyone. So basically here's the deal I'm offering them. The deal is what you get as an ambassador, the connection to me through this process, the behind the scenes, because I did frequent videos showing like the cover design and the outline, so you get to know what's happening behind the scenes and ask questions. You get to read the manuscript before everybody else and interact with me on this, and you get to see the like how I build a launch for a book. So this is what you get. Now what I get out of it is you help me edit the manuscript through your comments. So it's only allowed to comment. You don't allow them to edit the document. You don't want them to add pictures or whatever. And you
promise that you'll buy the paperback and Kindle when it comes out. That's part of the deal.
Oh, they must buy it.
Yes.
But it's cheap price probably.
So yeah, what I did for my previous book was I discounted it on the launch. I said, well, on the launch day, it's going to be just a few bucks. And of course, the value you get from being in the behind the scenes and in the process is way more than the, I don't know, $9 is going to cost you to buy. So I made it very clear. I'm like, I'm not doing this to sell you the book, but on the day it's launched, I do need the impulse. So I'm asking you to commit to buying the book.
Perfect. So I have a lot of stories of my students, but they are not like wow stories.
Okay.
How do I choose them? Because they're like one of them. It's a wow story because she was in a wheelchair, and doctor told her she would never walk, and now she's walking.
Okay.
That's a wow.
So that's one. That's definitely one.
Yeah,
one you want to include. Okay.
But then, you know, somebody stopped smoking. Somebody gets rid of flying phobia. Somebody made more money on the business. So it's not like wow, like movie star stories.
So I talked about Blake Snyder, his book Save the Cat on screenwriting, really good book. One of his things is, he says each character has to have, he calls it 6 things that need fixing. They don't have to be 6, but he just liked the 6 number, everything is in 6. But the idea is, the person that stopped smoking, for instance, if you interview them, you'll find that they were smoking and it hurt their relationship with their husband, or nobody else was smoking at work, so when they were taking a smoking break, the rest of the team felt they were less productive. If you dig, you'll find all of the other manifestations, so that by the end of the book you can show this new person. She has not only stopped smoking, but she's happy in her job, closer to her husband. Yeah.
Wow, genius.
But it comes through the interview. You just ask, like, what were the consequences?
Are there real names in the book?
Only if I'm saying, only if it's a positive story. Meaning,
so one story is the one that didn't succeed at the end.
The one that didn't succeed, I asked him, should I put your real name? Do you want me to put a fake name in there? There was one other person where I know they don't like to talk publicly about their story, so I told him, if you want, I'll put a pen name, a pseudonym. But in the end, they said, well, no, I'm going to own my story, so put my real name.
But you just put the name, not the last name, only name. For everyone every one of the 8, I ended up with their real name. But I was okay if they told me I prefer pseudonym. Wow.
Yes, because they were okay with it. And because everything was true. Now, there were 2 people where I don't use their real names because they actually serve as an example of not to do at all. So my first business partner in my very old first business that never took off, I changed his name. I just kept the initials, but I changed the name because I don't want to be saying what he could consider as a negative thing about him.
Another way to look at it when you're selecting who to talk about is what is the core of what your audience wants. And even if it appears small on the surface, like stopping to smoke, maybe what they want is to get back the willpower in their life.
Yes, yes.
And then quit smoking is a good example of that, so it can be good even though it seems small.
Yes.
You know, it's about like the core of what your audience wants. I don't know what to do. So
yeah, it's a breakthrough. The book is breakthrough now.
Okay.
Yeah, okay. So people will make a breakthrough in the financial business, in the relationship.
Okay, so just make sure that you don't show one dimension, but more than one dimension of each character.
Okay. Thank you very much.
No problem. David, you had a question?
Yeah. I love this end part.
The manifesto?
Yeah.
I'll post the full text also to the group, yes. Hey, David.
This is amazing. I I really enjoyed it, and I especially like what you had to say about the ending, about like the part in the story where one has to die metaphorically.
Yes.
I thought that was really profound. So I guess I just have two questions.
Okay.
So first, I'm not sure if you talked about it with that guy, but how do you decide which archetypes to use in your story? Because you said there's the boastful type, there's the one that will, just die. I guess I'm just curious about your...
I did dive into archetypes earlier when I was reading Joseph Campbell's stuff on the hero's journey. For this book, I didn't push it as far as thinking, well, okay, I need a trickster and a hero and a wizard. I didn't go there. That's you could go really deep in there that I didn't want. However, I did wonder, like, is my cast representative of my whole audience? So I wanted to have enough French, African people in there. I wanted to have enough women in there, because I realized we tend to have 80% men. So I'm like, be careful about that, intentional. And I wanted to have different ages. So basically I made a first list, which was, which axis do I want to have a variety on? Different ages, different sexes, different origins, different levels of education, and different levels of assets. So I really wanted to have one person that was dirt poor. And so my book, the prologue, the shock value, starts with a guy. He's been jobless for years, and it gets so bad that when he is offered a job as a street sweeper, his wife tells him, I don't even know if you should apply because I don't think you're good enough to do it. So that's like a dark moment, right? His wife says that. So, but I think if you really go for what's the most intense stories that I have at my disposal, it's better than what most people do, which is what's the biggest result I have at my disposal. So I don't tell the stories of people that did multi-millions with my help. I tell the stories of the woman I spoke earlier about. The same person had to go through cancer, burnout, an autoimmune disease, and a civil war, and raising her son alone, and she made it.
Yeah. So interesting. So you approach it from the framework of like, I guess most hardships faced, whereas I thought that you would have...
No, not most hardships faced, which could be part of it. Yeah. Most distance to travel.
Okay.
So they could have been at the beginning just a normal person from the middle class, which one of the guys is like really cozy job and all of that, but most like emotional distance to travel is what I'm looking for.
That makes sense. So it's interesting that that's kind of your criteria, because I thought you would have said something like, oh, I want to overcome this type of objection, so I want this type of person who has this objection, and then that. So
they connect.
Yeah, okay.
You'll see they connect, because of course when you go for the hardest distance, then you also have the toughest objections like embedded in it. So
that's right.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Well, my last question is, since my YouTube is my main platform, have you experimented? Does this formula work with YouTube?
What we're doing right now, we're doing a documentary. So this is my videographer, and we're basically doing in video form what I was doing in the written form in my book.
Awesome.
So yeah, that's
so like a 30-minute thing, like a big.
We're going for like a 88-minute documentary.
Yeah. Okay.
So we're premiering it next week, actually, next Friday.
Okay.
And that's our first shot at this, like communicating it through video.
Great. I think it's a great idea. Yeah. Thank you again. You know, I came just thinking if I got one piece of good advice, it could potentially change my life. And after I heard your things, I was like, oh, that could be the recent thing.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Awesome. Thanks.
Maintenant, j'aimerais vous envoyer mes conseils chaque semaine pour vous aider à devenir entrepreneur libre. Si vous allez sur entrepreneurlibre.com/conseil, cela vous permet de vous abonner à la newsletter. Gratuitement, je vous enverrai chaque semaine les nouveaux épisodes des podcasts ainsi que des invitations exclusives à des webconférences, des sessions de formation et des bonus réservés uniquement aux abonnés VIP de ma newsletter. Allez maintenant sur entrepreneurlibre.com/conseil.